cities and towns and not able to move around and celebrate. Normally, Israelis take to the parks. They have a mangal or barbecue with their family and friends, and they just fill the parks with this across Israel. They enjoy being in the outdoors. Some people go camping. There are usually fireworks celebrations. That's at night. Like tonight, there would normally be 2 sets of firework displays, and you can actually sit out on your balcony and see the fireworks going off in cities all around you. So right across Israel, people are coming together in unity to celebrate this transition from remembering the sacrifice of our fallen who sacrificed their lives to build and defend the state of Israel, which is really important because it puts us as part of a chain of people from the past, or people who have provided for the creation and development of the state, and those who are here now continuing as a united people and working towards maintaining this for the future, well into the future. So we wish everybody a happy Yom HaAtzmuat, however you're going to celebrate during the day tomorrow, and we'll look forward to understanding and appreciating this tradition. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Hello,
Over to
hello.
you.
Hi, everybody. All right. Thank you so much. That was fantastic. Wow. I could have just listened to you go on and on. Did everyone enjoy that? That was amazing. There's Dean. So now perfect. Dean is with us, and I am going to introduce to you Dean Bai. He is the head of the Aliyah Return Center, and he is going to be sharing with us about the work.
Hang on. Do you hear that noise?
Well, let's hear it. Let's hear it. Let's see it. Come
Trying to
on.
see if you can see
Bring
it.
it on. I can't hear it from our end, but I have even some, but I see it. We're starting to see it. All right.
Oh, can you see a little bit of that over the trees? They're starting to shoot the fireworks here in the Galilee. Sorry about that. I'm coming back. Okay. Sorry, you go ahead, Kim.
No, go ahead, Dean. You're on. You're on.
It's really an honor to be here. Chag Sameach, Baruch Hashem. It's nice to see everyone. How many of us are Israelis? Oh, well, listen, thank you for being Israeli. That is wonderful. We are, we've just finished. I'm right now in the Galilee. I just took you outside on the deck. Right below us was the Jordan River. And we're in what is called Kibbutz Bet Zera, the House of the Sea, right just south of Degania, if you're familiar with your geography here in Israel, just south of the Kinneret, the Sea of Galilee. And this is where the modern state of Israel had its earliest beginnings, just about over 100 years ago, when many of the first kibbutz began. And we've been establishing an old boarding school here. Used to be the school for many of the kibbutzniks here. And although the kibbutz got started here in 1927, it wasn't until after the War of Independence in 1949 that they finally were able to establish the school and feel safe. Lots of underground bomb shelters here, because for the first, about up to 1967, then of course up to 1973, they spent a lot of time inside these bunkers. We use them for a variety of different things now because there's obviously a relative calm. But we've been restoring these old derelict schools and dormitories. Used to house about 500 kids 6 days a week here. Now we have, it's funny, this is the most unique Independence Party to have had. We ended with some time of remembrance of those 23,816 that have fallen. And by the time the sun had come down, we had sung Hatikva, and then we began to dinner. And what was really wonderful is we just received just about 20 Russians just before COVID-19, so which meant they've been in lockdown, haven't been able to see the nation. Most of them had never been here before they made their aliyah. And so they've just hung out on these 15 acres. I suppose that's the wonderful beauty, is they've had a little bit more movement than a lot of people in the cities, in their apartments, etc. They've been able to have movement on about 15 acres. Well, this was the first time we could share a dinner together. And so we sort of set the New Olim on their blankets, social distancing over there. We have a bunch of Argentinians and Mexicans that have also arrived, and we've put them on their blankets over there. We have what we call the Archites, and these are Christians from the nations who come to serve. They're helping to restore these buildings. They're helping to do maintenance and painting and everything else so that the New Olim that are arriving can be looked after and cared for. And so we have, of course, the Jewish Agency who we partner with. They ended up bringing some people from the nations that are serving there when COVID started. So they had to quarantine here. So they're starting to come out now too. So we all don't really know each other very well. And I mean, it's one thing for the Russians to have arrived. They don't even speak Hebrew or English, okay? So everybody's using their smartphones to try to be able to communicate with one another. And to really, on behalf of the Christians, we're just saying to the Israelis, the new Israelis, thank you for being Israeli. And I mean, it hasn't been easy for these ones because it's not like they can come here, learn the language. They're doing Zoom to learn the language right now, only half a day a week until things can loosen up over here. But the good news is they've made their aliyah, and they're a part of establishing this phase of Israel in its 72nd year now. And so we're excited to work together for Israel with the Jewish Agency for Israel, and to be able to receive those that are coming from different nations. I think probably one of the greatest news that I could share probably tonight is, of course, in working with the Jewish Agency, we've been able to learn what it looks like going forward with COVID-19 and the Jewish Agency. And all the reports is that we're gonna potentially see as much as 100,000 new Israelis before the end of this year. It's like there are people, not just in America, but around the world that are saying, it's time to come home. In fact, today I was dealing with a son of a 9-year-old out of Brooklyn, and she just said they found a house 3 doors away from them here in the Galilee, and they says, "Mom, it's time to come home." And she says, "I'm ready." At 9 years old, "I'm ready. You have a house for me? I'm ready." And so, I mean, I think we're going to see a lot more in the weeks and months to come, where decisions that may have been harder to make a couple years ago are going to be a lot easier as a result of, the sadness of what many have had to deal with COVID-19. it's actually going to be a means to which we're probably going to see more people come home. That's an interest to us in this ministry because for the past 30 years, my role is to be able to help Christians around the world understand their prophetic role in helping to bring the Jewish people home and to help serve them here in the land of Israel. And so we've been doing that for 30 years. In the 90s, it was mainly Russians, but I'm happy to say that we're working with a lot more Europeans and North Americans in recent years. I just talked to a lone soldier from America. We have lone soldiers here too, and they don't have often families here. So in a sense, the community here becomes their family, their first home, especially when they're not at their units. So I don't know, does that give you just a little bit about who we are, where we are, what we're doing? Is there any questions?
Does anyone have a question? We are, and I'll tell you how I met Dean. I happen to be friends with Daniel Yehuda, who is coming on next. And he's a very renowned Israeli musician. He sings all over the world, and he connected with Dean. And so I went up to hear him sing, and I saw firsthand the work that Dean and the Aliyah Return Center is doing. And it's spectacular. You know, few people really realize that the prophet Isaiah, Yeshayahu, actually said that it was going to be the Gentiles or the nations that were literally going to carry the Jews on their shoulders and bring
Isaiah
them back.
49 verse 22.
Okay.
The Lord beckons to the Gentiles when the banner is raised that they would bring them on their arms and those shoulders. That's one of the scriptures that changed my life 30 years ago.
Really?
When I realized this prophet 2,800 years ago talked about the return of the Jewish people, and I realized I was living in the hour that there is in Israel. How could I continue to be a businessman in Canada and do the things I was doing when I was reading what the prophet said, and I'm going, he's talking to me. And that began the ball rolling, and we've been helping to bring Jewish people home ever since.
That's just amazing. That's amazing. And we are expecting. I just was on a phone with a friend of mine this morning from Chicago, and I said, "Have you considered making Aliyah yet?" We've been talking for a couple of years. And he's a neurologist there, and he actually said, you know, I think of it all the time. And I think even 2 years ago, I said, you know, I really think you need to start thinking about it. And he says to me, he says, yeah, but it's complicated. I said, you know what? I said, it's time to come, complications and all. It's just time to come. And so it's not going to be, and for those of you that might not even be aware, in American, Dean, you might not even be aware of this recent episode. A friend of mine, her daughter lives in Ohio. And so in the Jewish community in Ohio. So I'll be clear about that. And there were protests, of course, taking place in America to open up the economy because of the COVID. And in the protests in Ohio, the protesters actually had placards. And the placards had rats and the faces of Jews on them. And they said, this is the problem. And so you can imagine the daughter of my friend and the fear that gripped her when she saw this. And this was in a protest to open up the country. So you can see that the anti-Semitism, this is, by the way, for those of you that might not be aware, this kind of the rats and the the Jewish caricature. And I think actually also they said on one of the placards was the Israeli flag. And so this is the kind of placard propaganda in the papers that you would see during World War II and when the Nazis were coming to power. So here again, this kind of episode shows us that anti-Semitism is on the rise, and we do need to see the Jewish community in America wake up, and it's time to come home.
Wonderful. That is so true. Kim, if you make me co-host, I can, from my desktop, I could show you a video that we just completed today. It's 90 seconds long. Would you like me to do that?
Yes, let me do this for you. We're gonna figure this one out here. Hold on. Okay.
Put your cursor on my name under more.
Under participant. Here we are. Okay. Okay. All right. Hi, Gail. All right. Make a co-host. Yeah. And I just did that. Okay. You are now a co-host. Okay. I'm learning so much from Yaakov and from Dean.
Okay. Now, what I could do, if this works, is I think this is going to work now. Let's see.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Kim.
Hold on, everybody.
Muted or unmuted, Kim?
Mute yourself. Whatever. Just mute.
Just get out of here, right? Okay, sorry.
Sharon, mute. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, Kim.
Do you want to make a difference? Be part of a movement of Jews and Christians working together for Israel. In the past 7 years, the Aliyah Return Center has worked to help new immigrants take their first steps in Israel. Together, we've renovated a historic boarding school on Kibbutz Beit Zera, located just 5 minutes from the Sea of Galilee, along the Jordan River. We've been able to transform a broken down community into a home where new immigrants from all over the world can return and be looked after and provided for by Christians. Together, we offer shelter for lone soldiers who have no place to call home in Israel. Together, we're able to help widows put a roof over their head and warm meals, supportive fellowship. And together, we're able to bless Holocaust survivors, Arabic-speaking people, Hebrew-speaking people, people from the nations, and all come together into a community. Together, we continue this work today, changing the face of Israel, and all this is possible with your support. Join us at aliyahreturncenter.com. Pray, stay, learn, and serve. Bless God's people.
There, that gives you just a little bit of
Very
who we
nice.
are.
Very, very nice. I think, yeah, very, very, very nice. All right. So Daniel's coming on in just a minute. And for those of you, I think it's important that people understand, also for those of you that are part of the Jewish community, that this particular work that Dean is doing here in Israel is not proselytizing at all. On the contrary, he's involved in a study with Orthodox Jews. They teach Hebrew. They work to help those that are making Aliyah, help them transition into the Israeli culture. So I think I want to make that clear, because a lot of people might be concerned if they watch that and you're part of the Jewish community, that here's a Christian group that is proselytizing, but they are not doing that at all. They are serving. and they are serving the Jewish community by aiding financially and physically, as you can see, with a lot of mitzvot, a lot of good deeds, in literally making sure we get every Jew back to the land that wants to come back. And even if they don't want to come back, sometimes you just got to pull them out of the mouth of the lion. You got to get them. But I just wanted to make that clear, Dean, because I know we have several Orthodox Jews that are also part of even the community I'm part of here in Israel. So just want to make that clear on their behalf. So he's, and
thank you, Kim. We like to say that, in fact, we teach those that come that we need to offer a love without a condition. Our purpose is to be about what God is doing, and he's returning his people home. And if we just follow the written instructions that have already been written, that gives us the authority to do what we do while glorifying God's name in the process. Oh, I see my buddy Daniel. You were talking about studying. It's with his papa, his Abba, Yair Yehuda, that we study every Sunday the Torah portion. Chag Sameach, Daniel. Good to see you.
Chag Sameach, Dean. Chag Sameach, Kim. Chag Sameach, everybody here. Just saw from the. I'm in the 19th floor now in Petach Tikva, just watching all the fireworks from all around the center of Israel, and hearing blasting music and prayers everywhere. It's beautiful. Like it's hard to explain.
I know. I'm going to take everybody out to the other side in just a minute too. In fact, I'll do that while you're talking, Daniel.
Sounds good. Yeah, we were actually praying directly through a prayer that was happening at the Western Wall at the moment. It was just ended. A special prayer at the Western Wall. Everybody, of course, took feed from each other, and it was a yeshiva that I actually was fortunate to study in for 7 years, study Torah with. So I was just looking. Let's find a good prayer for the day of independence of Israel. We have a very special prayer just for that day, and so I was looking for a special prayer, and I happened to be at the Western Wall watching my own rabbi, my own yeshiva, my own friends that I studied for many years with, praying beautifully, and I was very fortunate. I'm sure you had a very good ceremony here.
That is beautiful. No, yes. Oh, we've been having a wonderful time for the past hour. Just amazing guests and that transition.
I lost you for a second. I can't hear you.
You got a little music going on. You can see it kind of. Let's see if I can get you guys to see. Here they go. See the little party going on right down there. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And we got little lights and there's kind of, but otherwise it's pretty quiet here because we are in complete lockdown. So apart from that, here we go.
I totally understand. There's also a party outside here. I hope it doesn't bother, this noise doesn't bother, all this music bother me speaking. I think I'm gonna do a beautiful ceremony, or at least do my part with singing Hatikva, which is what was just sung all over the state of Israel, or all over the world. Every Jewish community and every community that loves Israel went and sung Hatikva, which means the hope. It's not just hope that we can feel today, hope to get out of the corona and actually benefit from the fact that the whole world was suffering together and fighting together against this virus. But it's not just that kind of hope, but it's a hope for a better future, a better world, but also a hope for Israel to be able to, yes, survive and come through and fight. That's why we moved from Yom HaZikaron, from Day of Remembrance, where where I remembered my uncle and my friends, um, many friends in the army that I lost, but they brought us hope as well. Our fight, our struggle, is what brought us the hope of the state today, and the hope of hopefully my children and everybody else in this country that are fighting for this hope to be able to have many more years of blessings, and more than that, just growing. We don't want to settle for mediocrity. We're going for the home run. We're trying to win this all the way and get Mashiach, get get the temple built, get everything we can for world harmony. So this prayer of Hatikva, it's not just a song, not just a national anthem, it's a prayer. So I'm gonna do it actually. I'm gonna do it like was done in every place. We do Shir Hamalot. It's one of the psalms. We sing it through Hatikva, and then I'm gonna move into Hatikva with the lyrics you all know. שיר המעלות בשוב אדוני, את שיבת ציון היינו שמחים. אז ימלא שחוק פינו, ולשוננו רינה. אז יאמרו בגויים, הגדיל אדוני לעשותי מלך, הגדיל אדוני לעשות עמנו, היינו שמחים. שוב אדוני את שביתנו, כאפיקים בנגב, הזועים בדמעה, ברינה יקצורו. הלוך ילכו בחור, נושא משך הזרע, בוא יבוא ברינה נושא אלומותיו. Now for the national anthem. כל עוד בלבב ונימה, נפש יהודי הומייה, ופתי מזרח קדימה, עין לציון צופיה. עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו, התקווה בת שנות 2000, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון ירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון ירושלים.
Yay! Beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Adasa. I gotta go. Have a HaAtzmuat Sameach.
Yes,
Thank you.
we're
Happy
going. We're going to
Independence
go
Day.
now. We're going over to our friends. All right. Okay. Well, Hag Sameach to everybody. I hope you enjoyed our program, and we will be on tomorrow at 4 p.m. here. So it's 9 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. We will be hearing from from Lior Hyatt. He's the spokesperson for the foreign ministry. And we will be hearing from Dan Shuftan. We will be doing an analysis of what is taking place now here in the Middle East and around the world. I don't want you to miss it. It's our HaAtzmuat special. So sign back in tomorrow. You'll have another either YouTube link or this link. So make sure you check it out. I want to thank everybody for joining us, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Hag Sameach. I want to say happy birthday to Israel. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
here we are. 72 years, amazing. Thank you, Dean, for joining us. Thank you, Yaakov, and thank you, Shlomo, and thank you, Leah. That was an amazing presentation. And then thank you, Daniel. And again, thank you, Sally and Tiffany and Sharon. I saw my friend Gail Neer. In fact, I heard, let me see now how I can, there's Daniel is on, and Gail and Linda Koch and Sally and Sherry Berry and Shirat and Vaughn. I want to thank all of you for joining us, and there's several that are on the YouTube stream as well.
Israeli ones.
And then David Laker, he is here. He is Leah and David. You didn't hear. You didn't hear from David, but David is the brains behind everything. He's really the one that holds everything together. So we have to give him a big kol hakavod and shout out. Hey. David, yes, absolutely.
Thanks,
so we want to thank you. And I deeply, deeply love all of you. And I hope to see most of you, if not all of you, plus many more tomorrow. And so we wish you, again, a big Hag Sameach. Love all of you from Israel, and happy birthday. And we're going to go celebrate. All right.
Yes, on to the barbecue.
On to the barbecue.
Exactly. Shirat's on. I'm coming over, Shirat. All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Hag Sameach. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Laila Tov. Laila Tov. Bye-bye.
You're not having any bread.